Welcome back, friends, or if it's your first time here, welcome. Glad to see you. If you've been here before, you know that I've been reviewing the 6 myths about grief as laid out by the grief recovery method. And today we have arrived at number 6, and that is keep busy. The others were time heals, grieve alone, be strong, don't feel bad, and replace the loss. And this is just yet one more in that list that we find a lot of people say to us, but that just aren't helpful. And I have to tell you up front that I have employed every one of these. And it was my discovery of how unhelpful they were that led me to do my work as a grief recovery method specialist. And it's been so incredibly helpful for me and for my clients. So let's talk about this one, this myth about keep busy. It's the last one on the list that I'll review, and nearly every person, every grieving person that I've met or that I've worked with has employed this. It's kind of a natural go-to that we employ because we don't really like to think about that thing that's hurting us so much. But the truth is that no matter how busy we stay, you can't fool your mind. It's there. It's in your heart. It feels like a heavy stone, and you could never possibly stay busy enough that you could distract yourself from that. You know, many people have worked themselves nearly into a frenzy trying to stay busy enough that they can bypass that pain. But the truth is, and it's a difficult one to kind of wrap your head around, but the only way to get past grief is to face it head on and take some specific steps that help you work through the relationship or work through the event that has impacted you. And yes, it takes a lot of courage to do that. And that's one of the things that I help you with, to stay focused and to just work through the different aspects that have brought pain. And a lot of it is also remembering all the beautiful, wonderful things. And of course, that's what the point is to be left with those memories, and to leave the rest of it behind because it doesn't serve you. So, we know the primary reason that the myth of keeping busy persists is that it's linked kind of almost like a satellite to another major myth, and that is that grief just takes time. So there's this false idea that if you stay busy long enough, eventually you just won't feel it any longer. And you probably know people in your life who have done that. And the thing about grief is that it's cumulative, and it's cumulatively negative. So if you don't take the steps that are necessary to heal from it, it will stay with you. And 100% of the time, it will come out in negative ways. It will either impact your health, your physical or mental health. It can ruin your personal and professional relationships. There's just a whole constellation of things, bad things that occur as a result of not dealing with it. Anger, frustration, sickness, you name it. And I'm sure that you have probably seen this, if not in yourself, then in others. It's really totally incorrect to think that if you stay busy long enough that these things will just resolve themselves. And actually what happens is the more you bypass what you should be doing and stay busy, the more difficult it becomes to access the feelings that you need and the emotions you need to feel in order to be able to move past a grief event. They get tucked away, kind of buried out of sight, but they're still affecting you, even if you're not consciously aware of them. I was just reading today the story of a person who had lost his marriage, and he admitted that he had not done the work that he had needed to do, and all of his angst and anger came out at his family. That's often the case, is that we let loose with the people that we know and the ones that we care about the most. And it's because it feels like a safe space to do that, when in actual fact, what you're doing is you're running a high risk of ruining those relationships. So, it's bad enough that the idea of keeping busy is so closely tied to the false idea of the passage of time, but it's magnified by connection to one of the other myths, and that is don't feel bad. So again, if we're not supposed to feel bad, even though we know that feeling bad is the normal and natural reaction to loss of any kind, then keeping busy is just another way to bypass our normal feelings of sadness and pain associated with that loss. And here's another thing to consider. I happen to be kind of a busy person. Funny story, in a reading one time, someone brought through my son, who was my third loss, the child who lost, and she told me that she saw him like going back and forth, and she said to me, "Are you always like on the run or something? Are you busy all the time?" And I had to admit it was true. I am that way. So that's natural for me. But imagine telling someone who is, a much lower energy level, or they just tend to be a more sedate person. Imagine giving them that piece of advice, that they should stay busy. You're adding an extra level of angst to them, asking them to do something that's so outside of their own nature, and that's even more pressure. So, we want to stay as close to our normal patterns of behavior as we can. And there's already enough change that a grieving person goes through. It's really a kindness not to push someone into something that's not natural for them. So I hope that you have been able to take a look at all of these myths of grief. And, I invite you to go back and look at the videos. And I will soon also have a link that I can send to you, or that you can access on my website, where you will be able to download a PDF, free PDF that explains all of these myths in detail. And, going through the grief recovery method has been so helpful for so many people, because although it takes a lot of courage, I walk people through it step by step. And so I sort of help contribute to the process, and it becomes less frightening. And I'm able to help them look at the things that are difficult to look at, and the things that are difficult to talk about. So if you're interested in pursuing this a little bit further, I would be happy to have a chat with you. If you keep an eye on the screen at the end of this video, there's a QR code. Just scan that, and you'll be able to connect with me for a free discovery call. Absolutely no obligation, but I'd be happy to chat with you. All right, thanks so much. And I look forward to sharing some other great information about grief that will give you hope. Thanks. Have a great day.